What's up, you guys? Sean Ross Sapp, managing editor, Fightful.com, FightfulWrestling.com. We have that nice premium service, FightfulSelect.com as well. The most direct way to support Fightful and Fightful.com. Head over there, check it out. But it's November 6th. It's Election Day. I am joined by Alex Pawlowski, and I am happy to announce that I have been elected to the position of City Break Dancer Man. Alex, I think I can officially name you Vice City Break Dancer Man.
I'm honored to serve.
Man, are you all in for a good 4 years? We got SmackDown Live to talk about. Let's go ahead and get into it. We don't have anything to make predictions on tonight, so we're just going to talk about SmackDown Live. We do have some cool interviews up, though. Head over to the exclusive section. Last week, Andrew Thompson spoke to Sammy Guevara. I have the Fightful Wrestling Weekly that drops every Friday. Our buddies at Pro Wrestling Unlimited covered that, as well as myself on the Fightful Select Weekender podcast. We have Jordan Grace interviewed. That will be up from Kristen Ashley on Thursday. And I have one from Britt Baker that is up in full, but the stories will be out over the next week or two. Check them out. Opening segment. This is from Manchester. So we knew what was going to happen here, Alex. Yeah. We knew the results. At least I did. Did you check them before the show?
I did, just to make sure that, like if I could, dip out during one segment, that's always nice to be able to
They're tricky, though. They're tricky. Because somebody live at the arena will make it seem like it's nothing. And then it's like, oh, no, it was announced that like 25 people are going to be in one match. And it's like, wait a second now. Hold on a second. Also, before we get in the show, I want to remind you guys, Best of the Listen Your Boy Volume 1 tomorrow for Listen Your Boy number 97. It will be premiering on YouTube at 3. The live chat will be open. I will be there hanging out with you guys. Come join me. Paige brings out the best in the world, Shane McMahon. I love the play off of this, Alex, because Shane McMahon confirmed that he, in fact, was not the best in the world.
Well, to me, I just feel like they were all in on doing that, and then the backlash was such that they were like, just kidding. I'm totally not really. I mean, maybe I am, but I'm not really. But the fact that Paige announced him as such a couple of times made me think, okay, so are you guys going with this or not? And I mean,
your internet is trash. Reset. Shane McMahon confirms that he is in fact not the best in the world. He and Paige run down the Survivor Series card, which is filling up quite fast. I can go through it right now. You have Brock Lesnar, AJ Styles. You have Shinsuke Nakamura versus Seth Rollins. AOP versus The Bar is confirmed tonight. You have the Team Raw that is managed by Alexa Bliss, those women. No other women confirmed. But Team SmackDown is Carmella, Naomi, Charlotte, Sonya, Asuka, which we will hear about later. You have Ziggler, Drew, and Braun with some TBAs against Team SmackDown, which we'll hear more about tonight. And Ronda Rousey versus Becky Lynch. Daniel Bryan is rather happy, Alex, that Shane McMahon humbly has accepted that he is not best in the world.
Yeah, it does seem like of anyone on the roster, Daniel Bryan would take umbrage to McMahon declaring himself by booking himself as the best in the world.
Your internet is still trash.
All right.
Don't come with that weak shit, Alex. Miz interrupts, says that he isn't happy about how things unfolded in the World Cup. Daniel Bryan has been named captain of this SmackDown team. So Miz says that he deserves to be captain, and it's hard to disagree with him at that point. It's hard to see that he went to the finals of this tournament and say, oh, no, Miz doesn't deserve it. Former WWE champion, former WrestleMania headliner. He's more than worthy. So Paige and Shane McMahon decide that they're going to be co-champions. And right off the bat, I like this. It's the strange bedfellows thing. It's the enemies having to work together. And this was the theme of the show. It kind of laced everything in throughout the show. They weaved it in and out. And it was a way that they could make things that didn't matter a little bit. Because if you're Vince McMahon, at the very least, you think that the most important thing is brand superiority. That's it. That's what he cares the most about. We've heard it from countless writers and right-hand men that he's had. So they are co-captains now. And backstage, Miz picks Shane McMahon as his first teammate. And Daniel Bryan says, you know what? I actually agree with the Shane McMahon selection. Now, Alex, as you rejoin us, Shane McMahon does have an incredible amount of experience in Survivor Series matches at the very least. Although at one point he almost died in one.
Yes. It's nice to have him back. I'm hoping he survives.
Yeah. What do you think of him being added to this Survivor Series team, Shane McMahon?
I think it's an extension of him being best in the world in that tournament. It seems to me. The fact that they're allowing both Bryan and Miz to put him over as being worthy of being on the team when somebody like Randy Orton isn't going to be on it is interesting. But McMahon's going to McMahon, man.
That is true. There's this intentionally awkward spot where Miz and Daniel Bryan get along, and they're like, we don't really like this. Bryan picks Rey Mysterio for his team, but Miz says that they should pick wrestlers, have them square off for the spot on their team. And we'll get to that a little bit later. But then we're dropped in a match that really expanded as I watched this match. And this was an awesome match.
Yes.
Usos defeated New Day. Xavier Woods, the odd man out, to get this captain spot for this tag team Survivor Series match.
Yes.
Whoo, boy, this was a good one, Alex.
It was very, very good. It was up there with the best of the Usos versus New Day feud of 2017. These guys make magic together in the ring.
I think we're going to call Kofi's little hang over the ropes thing a nope con hilo because he doesn't do anything. And I love the spot, at least this time. If he does it all the time, I won't like it. But here, one of the Usos is like, what the hell are you doing?
Mm-hmm.
And he gets run over. he pays a little too much attention and gets run over. I liked it.
It's good.
During the commercial, Kofi's leg gets drop kicked off the top rope. Big E has one of the most insane hot tags ever. All of his offense looks great. Belly-to-belly suplexes, overhead suplexes, squishers in the corner. Just a good way. Big E then dies on a YOLO dive that I wish he would have sold a lot more than he did. He was right back up.
Yeah, no, there were other things where he wound up in the scorekeepers area, timekeepers area for a very long time. That was his big selling on the outside moment. If you're going to completely whiff on the YOLO dive, that should put you out of action for maybe 2 to 3 weeks. So the fact that he was right back up kind of belies any sense of disbelief you have.
Yeah, needed to sell that a little bit more. He does send Jimmy into the barricade, and then he gets thrown into the timekeeper area. Kofi does this unbelievable trust fall from the top rope to the outside on the Usos. Unbelievably beautiful spot. He just started to do that a couple years ago, and it's something special.
Yeah, I love it. And there's a reason why it's a trust fall, and it's these guys he's doing it with. Because if you watch all the matches between the New Day and the Usos going back a couple of years, these guys absolutely trust each other 100% in the ring because they know each other so well. And so, yeah, I don't know if Kofi should be doing that with everybody, every team he faces. But against the Usos, those guys are going to be there to catch him.
Well, they caught him. And in a spot like that, you have to have somebody is going to catch him. And there can't be an Undertaker Kane situation from Crown Jewel because Kofi's going to be out for a while after that.
Yeah.
SOS and a flying body press get 2 inside the ring. I love this spot too. Big E does hit his YOLO dive while the Usos are trying to suplex Kofi over the top rope from the apron. Kofi then capitalizes, hits the Trouble in Paradise, but that's just a 2. Whew, then, man, I feel like I've said this over and over again. Another great spot. This match was full of them. This is one of the best matches they've had together, and that's saying something.
Yeah.
Kofi goes to do a super Frankensteiner, but gets hit with a super power bomb.
Yeah. You
don't see that a lot these days, anywhere. This is a spot 10 years ago doesn't happen on Raw at all. Uso Splash wins the match. This was great, Alex.
This was excellent, and they did exactly what I wanted them to do, which is afterwards they had a little, little tete-a-tete in the ring. Uso said, "We respect you guys more than anybody else. You're our first pick to be on the team," and they shook hands. Like I love the battle of respect between these two teams, and I hope it continues for another 5 years. These guys should get to a point where they are inducting each other into the Hall of Fame. Like that's where these guys belong. They're so, like I said, they make magic in the ring together. I want to see them do it over and over again. I don't feel like they're ever going to repeat stuff. They're always coming up with brand new stuff. It never feels tired. I mean, WWE loves to run the same matches back and forth over and over and over again. But these guys do it. I don't mind.
Someone in the live chat says your wardrobe is made completely up of mashup shirts.
It is.
I noticed that too.
I mean, at least on the podcast. That's
that's
my aesthetic. I have other things. I just don't wear them on the podcast.
He does own shirts that have collars, you guys. Those are in his wardrobe. So after this match, the Usos say they respect New Day and want them on their team. And I think, great, we have the team.
Yeah.
There it is. 5 guys. Settled. But no, they say, we want you to be one of the teams. Then I said, huh? I said, what? And someone says, oh, it's a throwback to the old days. I'm like, I don't care. There aren't that many good teams. The Colognes aren't showing up to work. They just got that tape library money. They sold the WWC tape library. They're not working.
Here's the deal. With AOP now being the tag champs on Raw, who are the 5 tag teams on Raw that are going to be in this? Is that, oh my God, Sean, is that why they brought the Lucha House Party over from 205 Live?
I bet it is.
To give them a 5th team because they don't have one? That's ridiculous.
B Team, Ascension, Rude and Gable, Lucha House Party.
Revival.
See, this would have been a lot better.
Yeah.
If it were literally like the Revival, Rude and Gable, and then a 5th person, but
right.
Or Revival and the Lucha House Party. Like afterwards, they were like, "Okay, let's do this thing."
Yeah, because that means the team of 3 is able to even it out. Yeah, makes sense.
You want to talk about an all-time hose me down Survivor Series match? New Day and the Usos against Lucha House Party and the Revival. That gets it done.
Done.
Just go ahead and unscrew the fire hydrant. I'll just hang out underneath it. That's all I need. Yeah. Why do we need all these teams? Everybody's going to get the Survivor Series payday.
I can't wait to see how quickly Victor of the Ascension is pinned.
He can work a little bit too.
Yes, he can, but he'll probably be the first guy out.
Becky Lynch comes out. Let me talk about how much I love this goddamn promo.
Oh, so good.
There are people that are like, oh, I don't like the man gimmick. It's working for her. It works for her. It just works for her. And the images of her backstage, it just works for her. And the fact that she got to cut this kind of promo gives me a lot of hope because WWE's not trying to push the
they're not
boo for her narrative. They know what they have in her. Yeah. They do. I think there was more in the Ronda Rousey promo that'll make you boo her. And that's what Becky Lynch did. She said, you're pointing at my clown school and all this stuff, things that I did to pay for what I did. By the way, I was wrestling while you were not wrestling.
Yeah.
I'm here doing that too. It says that Ronda Rousey was handpicked. Becky wasn't supposed to be here, but she is. This is so good, and we haven't even got to the climax of it yet.
Yeah. It's fantastic. It's amazing, and it makes me sad that almost certainly she's going to lose to Ronda Rousey. Because they're building her as this amazing thing. Like she's super over with the fans. I really believe that the fans will be behind her in this match versus Ronda Rousey. And I feel like the WWE just wants to push Ronda Rousey as their new toy, and they want to play with it as much as they can. So I don't want to get ahead of myself, but I'm watching this promo and going, my God, this is somebody you can build your entire business around, male or female. She's so good at this. And lest we forget, she was brilliant as the whitest of white meat baby faces for so long. That now that we have, like, we can actually watch her and she's doing well. We can cheer for her for that, as opposed to watching her lose and feeling sorry for her. We actually get to live vicariously through her. She's so good in this character. The I am the man t-shirt, like, print those up. I want one.
Becky says that she wants a challenge right now. Insanity's music hits.
Yep.
And even though I knew what was coming,
yeah,
I got chills when Nikki Cross emerged from that smoke. It was such a cool reveal.
It was so great. It does make me wish that this had been one of those, a live episode, or I had not seen this particular spoiler. Because when she said, you know, like, I want anybody else want to come back out there and Sanity's music hit, I'm like, holy crap, they're finally bringing up Nikki Cross. And the only qualm I have with this is that it does appear this was a one-off. And they're like, oh, look, the crazy girl from NXT. They kept saying that a bunch of times, like, oh, usually they don't say that if this is an actual permanent call-up. But, I mean, she should be called up. She should be part of the SmackDown Women's roster, and she should have a spot on that SmackDown Survivor Series team because she's so great. Proved it tonight. Has proved it in her matches with Bianca Belair, Shayna Baszler, everybody. She's one of a kind, fantastic. She commits wholeheartedly to the insane Mad Dog character. It's hard to do that. She's great. She's special.
She has a cool kind of charisma and touch to her that many don't have. And it's not easy to do.
Just getting in the ring and saying, I'll play with you, Becky. Like, that is great. Like, I want to play. Like, that's a wonderful, nuanced part of this thing that nobody else has in women's wrestling on WWE anyway.
I feel like she could have said it maybe a time or two less, but hey, whatever.
Yeah.
The match itself could have went with 3 more minutes.
Yeah.
It wasn't a great one. Becky throws Nikki out of the ring, but Nikki catches her in the ring apron and beats her. Becky yanks Nikki off the apron, slams her into the barricade. Cross fires up with her comeback that ends in a bulldog. She also hits a flying body press, a reverse DDT. Lynch pulls Cross in the bottom rope, taps her out with the disarmer. I really think you needed to have Nikki Cross give Becky a run for her money to establish her on this brand. That was the best way to do it. And I'm not like having Becky escape with the skin of her teeth, and holding on, clutching to the title or anything. But just a good back and forth match for about 8 minutes. Maybe even through a commercial break.
Yeah, which is, again, why it makes part of that is what makes me think this is a one-off and we'll see Nikki back on NXT and it'll be like a one-time deal. Hey, we're in Manchester. One of them's Irish, the other one's Scottish. We're kind of halfway in between. Let's just do this. Because they do that sometimes when they go to England. They'll have whoever's British on the roster have a match where they wouldn't normally have. Yeah, I agree. I think she looked good in spots, but the match was over too quick. I liked that she tapped out and was smiling, clutching her arm. I think that's a really unique version of her, is that she just loves fighting people and doesn't matter. The pain doesn't matter to her. I think that's a cool thing that they could actually expand on, provided that she's actually, a full-fledged member of this roster.
Mediocre match. It was okay. A nice introduction for her. Backstage, Shinsuke Nakamura cuts a promo on Seth Rollins. AJ Styles does the same, but directed towards Brock Lesnar. Plays off of the Paul Heyman promo. Did anything stand out to you for either one of these? To me, it seemed like, hey, I know these two people are important, but we don't have any real plans for them to interact with the people they're going to wrestle. Right. So here are some promos.
Yeah. I'm intrigued by a Seth Rollins versus Shinsuke Nakamura match. If they actually let take the chains off of Shinsuke, let him go, he and Seth could have a great match. I feel like the only match that you can have between AJ Styles and Brock Lesnar was done last year. I don't know what other wrinkles there can possibly be to it. You have AJ get tossed around a lot. He comes back. He makes it a match. You think he might have a shot at it, and all of a sudden, German suplex, F5, win. Like, I feel like that's the only match you can do, and which is why I'm not really interested in that match again.
The funny thing about Brock Lesnar is that I think I had this in the weekly, the Fightful Wrestling Weekly a few weeks ago. Some of the people I've talked to, actually, one of my friends had told me this, and I followed up with some wrestlers. He's like a surprisingly light wrestler to work with unless you give him a reason to be stiff. But the rap on him is that he's lazy. And he is. That is also the rap on him. He doesn't want to lose matches. He's very old school in that regard, but will because it's his job. I don't know. Like, I don't see them putting the title on Brock Lesnar just to have him lose a non-title match to AJ Styles. That doesn't seem like to me like the thing they're doing.
I could see him get himself disqualified because AJ won't stay down, and that further builds him as the beast monster guy that eventually, we pray to God, Braun or somebody else will take down between now and the time that Roman comes back from leukemia, his leukemia treatment. And AJ, in that case, doesn't get hurt by it at all. If he pushes Brock to the point where Brock has to use a chair on him or something, then AJ literally wins that match. He comes out ahead. So I think that might be what they're going to do. But yeah, I don't need to see AJ lose clean to Brock again.
So this is a momentous day. AJ Styles 1 year as champion.
Yes.
Not something that at any point I ever thought was really going to happen until the date drew closer. When you think of this win or this title reign, what will you think of? What will you remember most based on what we've seen up to this point?
Wow.
By the way, we got to spend some time on this. SmackDown wasn't that long tonight.
That's true. I will probably remember how he won it. How he got it, how he took it from Jinder, how it was all set up for Jinder versus Brock Lesnar at Survivor Series. And we were like, oh my God, that's the worst idea ever.
Yeah.
And then AJ beat Jinder for it in Manchester on a taped episode. So everyone in America knew it. And it was good. It was good that he won. And he's held it. And, you know, the problem is a lot of his feuds he's had have been lackluster. Yeah. Like it's just, you know, Shinsuke Nakamura punched him in the dick. And the Wendy thing with Samoa Joe, all right. Like it just didn't feel like they were really. I mean, he had some really cool one-off matches on SmackDown with like Andrade Almas and Daniel Bryan that I think I will remember more than any of the matches he had that were actually for the title.
I have liked all three of the Samoa Joe matches that led up to the SummerSlam, Hell in a Cell, Super Showdown. Liked them all. Liked the Nakamura match at Money in the Bank. Loved the six-pack challenge at Fastlane. That was a good one.
That was good.
The Lesnar match last year was very good as well.
It was.
There was a period from, gosh, I want to say December through about May. I didn't think he had a lot of matches that stood out that were one-on-one. Mm-hmm. And I was like, oh, man. But that's not been the case lately. And one of the things I remember, I have a friend named Chelsea who lives in the UK, and she was there, and her video reaction. And it's like, man, a lot of those fans in the UK have not been given things like that in a while. Yeah. And I think maybe I'm mistaken, maybe I'm misremembering, but it seems like that kicked off a trend of WWE doing some cool stuff that mattered in the UK. Just last night, we had a tag title change.
Yeah.
Tonight, we had Nikki Cross debut. That's really cool. And I think it's smart of them to do that, to create that buzz on the random time or the few times that they tape a show. That way they create a buzz.
Yeah, well, that can only help get them a foothold and get fans to show up whenever they tape NXT UK. You know, like get fans of the product in the UK, and maybe you can build that brand there by saying, hey, we gave you this title change the last time we were there with Raw. So maybe, check out NXT UK when it tapes in your hometown.
By the way, NXT UK, Warren Hayes covers that every week on the Fightful Select NXT 205 Live NXT UK podcast. With 2 episodes airing this week, he's doing a second show on Thursday just covering NXT UK. So Check that out, guys. More content added to FightfulSelect.com. This AJ Styles reign, he's 41 years old. And I'm an avid listener of basically almost any podcast Conrad Thompson does. I think he's one of the best there is. And he often brings up like how wild it is where we are. He's a year in as champion, competing at a high level. He's 41. When Shawn Michaels and Triple H and The Undertaker were like really getting their feet underneath them, WWF was making fun of WCW for having 40-something-year-olds at the top of the card. AJ Styles is getting it done at 40, whether it be the way that the ring changed. That's something that Warren Hayes has brought up that I think has really added some length to people's careers. The rings have changed. The schedules have changed a little bit, but the style is much more demanding, especially AJ Styles' style. When you think about that, Alex, are you surprised that a guy like AJ Styles has been doing this and is still doing this at 41 with this type of reign?
I mean, I think that he's very athletic and does a lot of those kind of things in the ring, but he's not like a super crazy high flyer. The risks that he takes are measured, and he's got the right body type for it, where he can keep a good amount of lean muscle mass on him. He's not super small, and the bigger dudes, they just wind up having back issues, knees issues, like all that joints and stuff, because they're carrying around all that extra girth, all that extra weight. So I feel like a guy like him can have more longevity because he's carrying around the optimum amount of weight for his frame. And this is the thing with, like, you see John Cena, who like took off like 30 pounds. Like, that's going to help him in his longevity if he decides to wrestle for a while longer. We don't really sure where he's going to go from here, but that can only help his longevity. You see guys in the NBA who get older and their coaches tell them to take off muscle mass because it's going to help their joints if they're not jumping up with an extra 20 pounds of muscle. So yeah, I mean, I am surprised, but at the same time, like, if it's going to be anybody, it's got to be that guy, because he seems to the risk. I say the risks he takes aren't risks because he knows himself so well that he's not going to do the things that can actually really hurt him, because he knows what he's doing with his own body.
Worth noting, during Brock Lesnar's 500-plus days as WWE Universal Champion, I believe he had 14 successful title defenses. AJ Styles' next will be his 100th.
Wow.
Which is quite an accomplishment as well. Paige comes out. She announces Naomi, Asuka, Carmella, Sonya Deville, and Charlotte Flair as members of Team SmackDown's women's team. But Charlotte's not out. In fact, Mandy Rose comes out instead. Now, Charlotte was hesitant to join this team last week, Alex. So we get Mandy Rose, and she runs down every member of the team, including one of the lamest goddamn put-downs I have ever heard in my life.
So bad.
So really often when WWE wrestlers bring up matters that are private, sometimes it gets that ooh reaction. Mandy Rose said, Naomi, is anybody feeling the glow anymore? Like your husband? And I'm like, what? What do you mean? I don't get it. Now, I know that back in the Attitude days, that's calling a girl loose.
Yes.
But today, it's not.
No. My favorite was that she had the one that she hit Carmella with, was like, your title reign was brief, which A, it wasn't. I mean, she had it for several months. Yeah. And B, the fact that Carmella gets to, not on mic, come back like, at least I had one.
Yeah.
Like, because that immediately shuts down Mandy Rose's whole line of insults right there. Now, I guess I must have missed the whole Absolution breakup. I guess they did it like they had the tension in the ranks like a month ago on SmackDown, and there was something at Evolution, the Battle Royal. But like, oh, there's can Sonya Deville and Mandy Rose coexist? I don't know. I don't care. But
There's
the Charlotte Flair thing. She was offered the captaincy last week, and she turned it down because she says, "I don't think I'm the right woman for that." Being the captain and being on the team, I would think there's a distinction between those two things. Now she doesn't even want to be on the team at all, apparently, as her no showing would suggest. It's so weird to have
Mandy and Sonya, in fact, have not teamed together since Evolution. Neither of them have wrestled since Evolution, which is interesting. And before that, they hadn't wrestled. They hadn't teamed up in like 20 days. They wrestled on a house show, and that's it. They barely wrestled throughout September or October.
Yeah. And so it was kind of a weird thing where Paige was like, "Hey, everybody, I'm going to announce the team. Sonya Deville." And everyone was like, "Who's that?" Oh, her, right. Because you have 5 women on your roster, and one of them is not Becky Lynch. And the fact, like, Billie Kay, Peyton Royce, no. I mean, like, what it could be kind of fun is to say, okay, Sonya and Mandy, one of the two of you is going to face Billie or Peyton, and the winner of that, they get a spot on the team. Like, that would be good. Play-ins onto teams like this are always better. Matches to qualify for something always better than just being named to something. But I have no idea why Sonya Deville would be named to the team instead of either Billie or Peyton, considering they've actually had matches on TV much more recently than Sonya has.
Yeah, a little confusing, to be honest with you. For a spot on SmackDown Live Survivor Series team, Rey Mysterio defeated Andrade, Cien Almas. No Zelina. As Guy in Green on Twitter had kind of put out there, Zelina has been home since Evolution because Tamina did not catch her, and she face planted into the ground. Got some numbness in her arm. Mysterio is not taking it easy since coming back to SmackDown.
Yeah.
I'm like, wow, I think it was Stone Osborne that said putting those new knees to use. He is taking some bumps. Almost took a crazy bump over the top rope, missing those knees. Then he caught Rey in a Hurricane Rana, slings him into a barricade. Almost backflips out of a sunset flip bomb. And even though there were all those spots in the New Day Usos match, this is my favorite spot. Because it was one smooth motion of Rey not being able to sit up because he can't. The way that you stand up as a pro wrestler is you turn, you post off of one hand, and you turn around. For a number of reasons, but not just to be on the same page as a wrestler, but you don't want to tear up your knees. Rey, who has bad knees, you don't want to stand up and just push yourself up. That's why basketball players, huge basketball players, help each other up.
Yeah.
So while Rey is stuck in the corner, Almas just flies in with 2 knees to the head repeatedly.
Yeah.
That was so cool. Almas gets a tilt-a-whirl backbreaker, but Rey gets his knees up on the corrective moonsault. 619 drops the dime, and victory is Rey's. This match was a lot of fun, Alex.
It was. It makes me wish it was saved for after Survivor Series, and they could like build to something. Like the idea of Almas being the young guy who doesn't respect Rey Mysterio and what he means to, Mexican wrestlers. The fact that Andrade now wrestles without the mask, and you could do a thing where he thinks it's stupid to still wrestle with a mask. All that kind of stuff you could really do to build a proper feud that would have a real Dynamite blow-off match. Just doing this randomly on a SmackDown is fun, and don't get me wrong, it was fun. I wish it was like a thing, like a real thing between Andrade Cien Almas and Rey Mysterio Jr., like a real deal that they're building toward something, like a major pay-per-view or something.
Well, I mean, they to be fair, within the context of WWE, this is one of the most important things you can fight for.
That's
the
true.
Chance to participate in brand supremacy.
Yep.
So, I mean, hey, that's cool. I loved it. I loved the match. This show had some really good wrestling on it, especially between this and the tag match that we saw earlier. Randy Orton shows up, RKO's Rey out of nowhere.
Yeah.
Miz and Daniel Bryan argue over whose fault that is because Bryan thought Miz sent him out there, and Miz says, no, not me.
No.
There's just more bickering between these two. whatever.
I did appreciate that Miz was like, the last time I saw Randy, he was giving me an RKO.
Yeah.
What I want to talk to Randy, which is good because again, it furthers the idea of Randy as this lone wolf who will RKO anybody, doesn't care. Like sure. I like that he does that to heels and baby faces because he's unpredictable. He's the Viper. Great. Like I need guys who don't be like, hey, you're a bad guy and I'm a bad guy, so we're on the same team. I don't need that to be rampant throughout.
Yeah, the idea that dickheads can't get along with anybody but other dickheads doesn't really jive with me.
Yeah.
Daniel Bryan picks Jeff Hardy while The Miz picks Samoa Joe to fight for SmackDown spots. We get Whisper in the Wind right out of the gate. Samoa Joe tosses Hardy into the barricades at ringside until Hardy runs off of it with a clothesline. Bryan and Miz are bickering about being leaders on commentary. Hardy gets out of the coquina clutch, hits a twist of fate, but goes up top for a swanton, and he eats knees big time.
Yeah.
I saw that, and I said, oh, damn. Coquina clutch, and that's a wrap. So the match, whatever. It was a Jeff Hardy, Samoa Joe match. I don't care about it.
Yeah.
But Joe gets in Bryan's face, and Miz's reaction was the funniest thing. He acted like Daniel Bryan just encountered a bear. He's like, stay still. Don't move. Don't show any aggression.
Its vision is based on movement.
Yes. It can smell your fear. Don't be afraid. And then Daniel Bryan goes at. He does what every inexperienced hiker does, and he just at the bear. And as we know, Alex, because of you, bears are mostly southpaw.
That's true. Yes.
So I just love that. Keep your emotions in check. Yep. Don't move.
Yeah.
Bryan is really aggressive. I don't know what his deal is. Like he threw the Miz down, or he hit the Miz. He hit Samoa Joe. He threw Shane McMahon down. What's his deal, man?
I don't know. He doesn't like Samoa Joe, I guess.
Just angry.
Samoa Joe attacked him after he had his like super respectful match with AJ last week, so he's upset. I don't know. I will say the one thing I did want to point out was that I was getting some very serious The Crow vibes from this iteration of Jeff Hardy with the white and black face paint and the all black skin tight top. It was very Eric Draven-esque. Looked like Brandon Lee out there. I like that he's doing new interesting stuff every time he comes out there. But every time he comes out there, I'm also going, okay, how many months of your life are you going to take off of yourself right now, Jeff Hardy? Because he can't seem to stay away from stuff like, doing a swanton into some knees.
That was SmackDown Live. As we have a little bit of time, let's cover some news stories. Tetsuya Naito claims that he was offered a WWE contract in the summer and turned it down. This is happening much, much more often.
Mm-hmm.
We went through a period where everybody was accepting WWE offers. And then what I think happened was 205 Live.
Yeah.
And I say this a lot. What happened with 205 Live is not WWE's fault. They tried. They really tried. They did their best. Nobody cared about it, but they could have done some things a little earlier. They could have filmed it before Raw way earlier. But, man, they tried to stack the deck, but they couldn't keep people there. Yeah. People kept messing up or people kept leaving. We could be looking at a 205 Live roster right now with Enzo Amore running his mouth, Neville being one of the best wrestlers in the world, Rich Swann being an awesome supporting player, and Austin Aries being in there somehow too. We could see that right now, and that's some pretty high-profile names being involved. And I get the feeling that if those names were involved, we'd be much more likely to see a Rey Mysterio on that show as well. But that's not what we have right now. I think that because of that, I mean, do you think Hideo Itami's signing with WWE if he realizes he's never going to wrestle on Raw or SmackDown?
No, but that wasn't. I don't think that was ever the plan before the first injury, and certainly not before the second injury. Like he was injury prone in NXT. I mean, I like the stuff he's been doing on 205 Live, and I'm a 205 Live apologist. I will say that if all those guys that had left or been fired were still there, I don't think Buddy Murphy ever shows up on 205 Live, and that's a loss for everybody because he'd just be on there doing the Largo loop in NXT still, and right now he's a cruiserweight champ. So I mean, I think there's a lot of there's both sides to it, but I don't know if Naito would be sent to 205 Live. I don't know. I will say this: WWE seems to be hoarding all of these people, so not so they can use them, but so other players, other companies can't.
Oh, I've spoken openly about this, and I'll bring it up again. Matt Riddle blew through his WWE tryout.
Yeah,
I had people saying that he embarrassed the WWE tryout, which he's just a freak. He's not the type of athlete they run into all the time.
Yeah.
After that, they're like, damn, we're interested in you. They Google him. They see him holding up a bag of weed with THC on his gloves, stylized like UFC. They pass. He gives them the courtesy. He said, you know what? They like me. So I'm going to give them the courtesy of saying, hey, do you mind if I work for Ring of Honor? Because I've got this opportunity. They say, you know what? We really don't want that.
Yeah.
So why don't we get you hooked up with Evolve? And to be honest with you, I think that Matt Riddle helped put Evolve on the map.
Yes.
He really did. I wasn't paying a lot of attention to it before that and before the Flow Slam deal. Well, 2 years go by. 2 years go by, and he's still not signed. Then all of a sudden, Ring of Honor announces, hey, we're going to MSG, and so is New Japan. Keep in mind, New Japan had been interested in Matt Riddle before as well.
Right.
The weed thing kind of kept him back, but when WWE hears, oh, Ring of Honor and New Japan are running MSG, they immediately, from a WWE wrestler who told me this, said they're going to do everything they can to get anybody they think is a game changer under contract. Tetsuya Naito qualifies. I did a news update video on this on our YouTube. He certainly qualifies.
Yeah.
He's one of the most popular people outside of WWE in the world. So that is a level of petty. Quite frankly, I am of the belief that Hulk Hogan was signed just so he didn't show up at MSG and wave to a crowd there, like for any reason. And no, I don't put it beyond a Sinclair broadcast group to sign a Hulk Hogan for that.
Yep.
There are a lot of moving parts there. WWE is very interested in doing that. And I had somebody close to the Elite say, well, if you were the Elite, what would you do? And I said, well, I can't answer that. How can I answer that when there are so many different things at play, Alex? We don't know the real financials of All In.
No.
For all we know, they made $20 million off that show.
Right.
For all I know, they made $20 off that show.
Yeah.
For all I know, they lost $20 million off that show. I don't know. I don't have the specific figures in front of me. Unless one of them comes out and says it, it's hard to imagine. We know that people are being offered into the seven figures just to wrestle at Crown Jewel.
Yeah. So
WWE has a heavy amount of income at their disposal. Not only that, their TV deals are going up. So it's like, what would WWE offer them? They could offer them anything. But what would they offer them?
Right.
And would these guys look at that and say, okay, that's worth it. You know what? We'll do that instead of doing our own thing or working Ring of Honor. If you were in their shoes, based on the facts that we have now, based on the situations they have, Cody has a wife, the Bucks have families, Marty Scurll's girlfriend works for WWE. Hangman Page doesn't really have all that stuff. And quite frankly, the man's a teacher. If shit goes south, he's got a teaching career he can fall back on. He's been to school. What would you do?
I think you got to cash in your chips when you got this chance. And this is for the guys with the family at the Bucks. I mean, yeah. I mean, here's the thing: they're the Bucks now. They're not so much the young Bucks anymore. So if they come calling with major contract offers, I mean, here's the deal: they would run Full Sail for as long as they were there. You know, I mean, I don't know about Omega. I don't know what they would do with Omega, but the Bucks seem tailor-made for a run at Full Sail, just going nuts. They could be the baby faces to go up against the Undisputed Era for as long as the Era's there. Like, there's a lot of stuff you can do there. I always go, okay, well that's great, the money's great, and the NXT thing will be a lot of fun. Creatively, once you get called up to the main roster, will you be fulfilled? Probably not. Because the absolute, in my opinion, best tag team in wrestling anywhere in the world is never on TV, and when they are, they're losing. So like, I don't know. I honestly don't know. You have to decide what's more important to you. This money, was it going to help me and my family and put my kids through college and beyond? That's one thing, and that's important to me. But is that more important to me than looking in the mirror and saying I did everything I could to be the best I could at my job, entertain the most people the right way? I don't know. It all depends on who you are personally.
In the last couple of years, since Bucks signed their deals with Ring of Honor, they're working about 80 matches a year, and they're making real good money doing it. They even went on record and said, we didn't work World Tag League because New Japan doesn't pay enough. Yeah. Straight up.
Yeah.
If they sign with Ring of Honor, re-sign with Ring of Honor, it's the biggest deals in Ring of Honor history, period.
Yes, yes.
If I'm Ring of Honor, I take a look at their booking history, their ability to get people over. And, you know, some people have criticized Delirious's booking. It's like, do you offer this collective group of guys the book to keep them? Is that something that you're willing to do, to throw at them? Like the ultimate creative control? Because let's be quite honest. Flip Gordon's not as over as he is without these guys.
No, of course not.
Any number of people are not as over as they are without these guys and their 10, 15-minute web series. Yeah. So maybe Sinclair Broadcast Group looks at these guys and says, if they can do that on their web series once a week for 10 minutes, what can they do with our TV show?
Right.
And a streaming service, for the love of God.
Yeah. I mean, you could do a thing where you have an authority figure who comes in and just basically like gives them the keys to the castle, you know, as far as in storyline. And then you basically get the Bullet Club being the NWO in 1997. Well, hey,
they're not the Bullet Club anymore. They are the Elite. They have branched off.
Right. You have, but I'm saying like that's
also savvy, very savvy.
Yes, very, very savvy. But I'm saying is like you have the Elite becoming like the NWO. I mean, obviously, hopefully the creative would be better than that, but they basically ran shit in WCW for like 2 years. And that was what they built behind because that was what everybody wanted to see in those days. The crowd loved it. So that's certainly an option. I don't think they're certainly not going to get anything like that in WWE. You know what I mean? Like here's the deal. The first we've actually seen real Matt Hardy, broken Matt Hardy stuff was on a Halloween special on the network.
Yeah.
That was real, true to life, 100% that stuff.
What's with Shane being everywhere since he left Fightful? My God, he's on Ring of Honor feuding with Marty Scurll. Yeah. He's on WWE specials, in the Royal Rumble, on All In. He was at Aero Lucha even.
Yeah.
On Being the Elite all the time.
Oh, damn. You made him into a star, Sean.
I did. Hashtag because of Fightful. I mean, look at Anna.
Yeah.
Waving around bottles of Tavarsky in front of raging crowds. That's what we do at Fightful. Yeah, I think there's a lot to this story. And quite frankly, All In was special, man.
Mm-hmm.
And the thing is, I don't know if that can be replicated.
Yeah, even All In 2 wouldn't have that same magic, you know?
There aren't a lot of people. It was indie WrestleMania. That's what it was. Yeah, it was. And that's good. That's a good thing. WrestleMania for everybody else besides WWE and New Japan. The only person I think could maybe pull off something similar, not to that grand scheme or grand scale, but I think Joey Janela could possibly pull off something like that considering how insanely Spring Break sold. And by the way, good for him because he's missing like a year. I'm glad all those tickets were $100 and something bucks, and I'm glad he sold all of them in 30 seconds because, you know, the man's got to eat.
Yeah.
So I'm really interested to see how this happens. I've been told some things that I can't really open up about yet, but we'll get there. Follow Alex at Pawlowski IV. Follow me at Sean Ross Sapp. Visit Fightful.com and subscribe to us here. Leave a thumbs up. Subscribe to our new MMA and boxing YouTube channel as well. Just search it on YouTube. We will have a custom URL soon. But if you subscribe and comment, you are registered to win the Chuck Liddell Randy Couture signed photo ahead of Chuck Liddell's MMA return this month. I can't believe that is happening, but it is. We did the MMA podcast today. You may have heard Floyd Mayweather signed with the Rizin Fighting Federation in Japan. He's going to fight New Year's Eve. Next month, he's going to fight in Japan against an undefeated MMA fighter and kickboxer. Rule set unknown, but Showdown Joe is the play-by-play commentator of Rizin. So that's the thing that's happening, Alex. Yeah. I say give him 2 kicks around and I'm happy.
It's an exciting time.
It's wild, man. Until next time, guys, leave a thumbs up, subscribe, visit Fightful.com. We are out.